Hello, friends. I am Chevee. Welcome to my shed. How are you today? How's life in your world? How's things where you are? I hope it's great. Everything here is wonderful, except that as I was walking down here, I noticed that it's snowing right now. It was 70 degrees on Wednesday. Um, so speaking of Wednesday, Chris asked a question about my favorite military movie. We did that talk. He had a follow-up question, which was favorite movie soundtrack. And I have to admit, while I enjoy a good movie soundtrack while I'm in the movie, I very rarely, with two exceptions, and I'll tell you those shortly, I very rarely care. I don't listen to soundtracks outside of the film, if that makes any sense. I would say, you know, movies that stand out to me as remarkable would be anything that John Williams has scored, like that orchestra sound. I absolutely love, and he's done amazing things. But I wouldn't buy that soundtrack to listen to. I've purchased two soundtracks in my life. The first one is the soundtrack to The Lost Highway, uh, old David Lynch movie, totally worth watching if you've not seen it. And the second one is Girl with Dragon Tattoo, which I've not seen the movie. And the reason I've purchased those two soundtracks is they were both projects that Trent Reznor worked on. And Trent Reznor is Nine Inch Nails. So the Lost Highway, I was in high school. That was, I was really into Nine Inch Nails at that time. And so I picked that up. And then Girl with a Dragon Tattoo, Trent Reznor for the last like 5, 10 years, I don't know, for a while now, has been doing a lot of projects with Atticus Ross, and I've really enjoyed their dynamic. It's a more mellow sound than a lot of the early Nine Inch Nails stuff, and so I really liked the Dragon Tattoo soundtrack. I thought it was just a really nice soundscape. But other than that, I don't really listen to soundtracks. I would say in the 90s or the early 2000s, actually, it was definitely the late 90s. Me and my brother in law at that time, he's since gone, we listened to the Forrest Gump soundtrack a lot. It had a lot of classic rock songs that just hit. And I think a lot of people listen to that soundtrack. But I don't separate the soundtrack from the movie usually. Like I feel like they work together to create an experience, and I take it that way. And I don't normally follow and listen to the soundtrack later. I can give you another tiny example. Um, I found I don't remember how I found the Lumineers, but the song from the Lumineers that really pulled me in was it's called Gale Song, and I thought it was this really cool heartbreak song. And because of that song, I started listening to the Lumineers more, and I absolutely love the Lumineers. I think they're phenomenal. I later discovered that that song was written for the Hunger Games soundtrack, and it makes sense because Gale is the main one of the characters. Anyway, if you don't, it doesn't matter. So there's little things like that I have songs that I have picked out of soundtracks that were written for a soundtrack that I have listened to. But for the most part, I don't really listen to a lot of soundtracks. It's just not ever really been my thing. Um, I would love to hear some. If there's some video game soundtracks, I used to listen to the soundtrack to Bastion a lot. I used to play it on repeat. Just really good sounds, and that was one of those games. It's an action RPG that has like 8 or 10 different really unique areas, and so the music was tailored towards that, and so you can listen to like a bunch of different musical genres that have a through line, and I really liked that. But I usually watch film and study the look and the cinematography of the film. That's the thing that outside of the story, I really enjoy compelling photography. I really enjoy compelling lighting and just cinematography in general. And so the soundtrack is usually like it's in the back. Like that's something that I take into consideration, but I don't place a lot of importance on. But if you have some soundtracks that you listen to outside of the film that you think are just great, let me know. I'm always up for music. I have no musical taste, meaning if it's good music, it's good music, and I don't differentiate. I don't say like I don't listen to country. I do listen to country. I don't listen to modern pop country that much. I don't. There's maybe 5 or 6 songs that I've ever heard in modern pop country that's okay to me. But I listen to all the things. I love all the music. If it's good music, I will listen to it. My kids always laugh because my playlists are just these very, just, they're all over the place. It's literally all over the place. So, yeah, if you have any recommendations, let me know. I'll give it a listen and maybe report back. You got anything going on this weekend? I'm hoping to get to work on the bench this weekend. We do have M's parents are coming down tomorrow. Our birthdays are next Tuesday and Wednesday. So M's parents are coming down tomorrow to hang out and have cake and dinner and that sort of stuff. So I don't know that I'm going to get much time in here, and but I'm excited to work on it. Well, you'll see it eventually, but I'm going to do some different joinery that I've not really tackled before. It's going to be a fun project, and it's all Douglas fir, which I love Douglas fir, except for how sappy it is. So hopefully I'll get some time down here. What do you got going on? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for being here as always. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, being amazing friends and wonderful people. I really appreciate you. And I'll see you again tomorrow. No, I'll see you on Monday. I always screw that up on Fridays. Today's word you should know to sound smart is populism, and is a noun meaning a political movement or policy that appeals to the masses, the average working man or woman, not the upper class. Being naked approaches being revolutionary. Going barefoot is mere populism. John Updike, an American novelist and literary critic. Populism, Populism. I don't understand how any of that is populism. Like, nobody wants to go barefoot. Is he suggesting that middle-aged or middle-class working men and women in the United States are barefoot because they can't afford shoes? That's just nonsense.